Now, if you own a DJI Pocket 3, you're going to need this filter. It's a neutral density filter. And everyone who owns a Pocket 3 needs a neutral density filter. And I'm going to explain why in this video. Now, Freewell was kind enough to send me these filters for review when I asked them. Thanks, Freewell. But regardless of what brand you use, you're going to need neutral density filters. Oh, and at the end, I'm also going to give you some bad news about using filters on your Pocket 3. Yeah, it's not pretty, but trust me, it's going to be worth it. Now, it's no secret that the Pocket 3 has taken the vlogging world by storm because it takes great pictures. It's so easy to use. You just kind of flip it and turn it on and you get images that look great. Now, one of the reasons the Pocket 3 takes such great video is that it's always open wide to 2.0. You can't adjust the aperture to anything less. And as a result, you're always going to get a nice creamy background. In fact, there's nothing you can do with a Pocket 3 to avoid getting that creamy background, except moving your subject out of the frame. Now, a traditional video camera is going to have an aperture that's going to close down and allow more of the background to be in focus. But the Pocket 3 doesn't have that option. This is what you get. The only thing it can do is increase the shutter speed to compensate. Now, normally for video, you want the shutter speed to be about twice the frame rate. In this case, I'm shooting in 24 frames, so I'd want about 1/50th of a second for the frame rate to give a nice motion blur. But here with this camera, well, it's not going to give me that unless I put on a neutral density filter. Let me just take off the filter that I have on. If we put it in manual mode and set the shutter speed down to where we want it, well, it's going to be overexposed because the aperture can't compensate and the ISO is down as low as it can go. But if we put on a neutral density filter, well, it's kind of magic. We get everything we want. And now I'm going to do a little juggling and I want you to watch the motion blur. Holy cow. So you can probably tell that the motion is a little jittery. Let's try putting on a neutral density filter. Let's go crazy with 256 ND. Let's try that now and see if that affects our motion blur. Whoa, or my juggling. Now, I think you can see that that's a little smoother because the shutter speed now has been turned down. And that's gonna look a little more natural. So whenever you have some action in the shot, well, it's gonna look a little better with some ND on a bright day. Now, I kept adding more and more strength of ND until I finally got the shutter speed down to 1/50. And you can see exactly what that did to the motion blur of the juggling bags. Now, sometimes it doesn't matter whether the shutter speed is too high. I mean, you might see it a little bit in my hands as it's moving around, but generally, if I'm not moving a lot, it doesn't make much difference. But if you have a lot of movement behind you, for example, this waterfall, well, you're gonna see that strobiness. Let's see what happens when I put on a neutral density filter. Yeah. See what that does to the waterfall? Yeah, it smooths everything out and gets the shutter speed down to something that seems reasonable. Now, the Mega Pack comes with 7 neutral density filters, 6 from 3 stops to 8 stops, and then 1 at 10 stops. This 10-stop one is 1000 ND, and yeah, it takes out a lot of light, but not enough to aim this at the sun, so I'm not really sure what this is for, because here, let me put it on and show you. I'll swap it out with the 7. Yeah, there you go. Well, see, in this case, now we don't have enough light at all, even in bright sunlight. This filter is probably for something like, I don't know, welding or something like that, but it's not very useful, but it's kind of cool to have. Going back to the 128, which is the 7 stops, and things look pretty good. We might want to fuss with this and go up or down a little bit, but generally this is going to give you the motion blur that you need. Now, in addition to those ND filters, they also have circular polarizing filter. Let me show you what that looks like. There we go. The circular polarizing filter just takes out some of that glare, and I'm not sure you can see it here, but it makes the sky a little bluer as well. Well, typically, we'll see what it looks like when I get it back. But one thing it is doing is it's taking out 1.5 stops of light, so it acts sort of as a neutral density filter of its own. In fact, Freewell's Mega Pack actually has ND with circular polarizing all the way up to 128. Here, let's put that on. We'll see what that looks like. The heaviest of all should be about 7.5 stops of light. And that's what it looks like. Now, you may not always need a circular polarizer, but it doesn't do any harm because it does take out some of that glare, and it works in conjunction with ND filters. So you could just get all of your ND filters with circular polarizing built in, if you'd like. Now the Mega Pack also comes with a couple other filters, including this mist filter. This is a 1/4 snow mist. Kind of changes the look a little bit and gives it a little dreamier look. Takes up some of that digital sharpness that we have in digital cameras. There's also a 1/8 version, and I happen to have that one too. And now 1/8. Yeah, just a little bit less. Tell me if you can see a difference at all. Oh, the pack that came with the 1/8 snow mist also comes with this G mist. And kind of looks like that. So, you know, side by side, let's see what these look like. Okay, outside in broad daylight, I couldn't tell a difference at all. Maybe you could. Let's try it here at night though, and you can see that it blooms out the highlights pretty well. Now here it is without the filter, and now with the snow mist at 1/4. And now at 1/8. And here's the G mist at 1/8. And one last time, the snow mist at 1/8. 1/4, and now the glow mist. For my money, I think I like the snow mist at 1/8. And lastly, there's a light pollution filter to be used at night in astrophotography. Since I live in the city and I'm not doing astrophotography, well, if you know what it is and you want one, it's in this pack. Yeah. All right, and now for the bad news about these filters. Well, not these filters. This isn't a problem with Freewell, it's a problem with DJI. When I first found out that DJI designed the Pocket 3 to have magnetic filters, I thought that was pretty cool because they'd be a lot easier to put on. But what I found is, well, it's kind of difficult to work with these little guys. Yeah, it's hard for me sometimes to get my fat fingers on them without smudging them. So I'm constantly having to keep a cloth around to clean them. But one of the cool things is they are stackable, and so if you get two of these kind of filters, well, they stack up very nicely. The problem is these polarizing filters, well, they don't play well with other filters. Here, let me show you. If we take this and we try to put a neutral density filter on it, well, yeah, they're not gonna go on together. They're gonna go kind of at a 45-degree angle. And if you try to force it where it would go and where it would work, well, it's just not going to work. Plus, I tend to drop these a lot. Now, another annoying point about using filters with the Pocket 3 is that when you turn it off, well, the filter won't fit, so it doesn't spin all the way in. Viewing it from the back, you can see that it tries to close up, can't do it, and then spins around. But with the filter on, it will still go in the case nicely. The camera will just be pointing down instead of in on itself. So just know before you get an ND filter that they're going to be kind of a pain to use sometimes. And they're going to be easier to get on than off. But that's the price you're going to have to pay to make great video. Now, most of Freewell's filters cost around $20, but you can get them down to about $11 each if you buy the Mega Pack. And there's other savings with smaller packs. But it's not really a savings unless you use all of the filters. Now, if you go to Freewell's website, you will even see more options like variable NDs. Yeah, these could be great. I haven't tested them, but I'm sure they will work fine. They also have circular polarizing filters with mist filters built in if that's to your taste. Now, if a pack is still outside of your budget, I would implore you to at least get one neutral density filter, and I would suggest this one. This is a circular polarizing 32 ND. And this will give you about 6.5 stops of ND, which will be great most of the time. Now, sometimes it might be a little overkill and the ISO will bump up a little bit, but I doubt you'll ever notice it. And sometimes it won't be enough and the shutter speed might be a little higher than you wanted, but I don't think you'll ever notice it. This is a great value for only $20. And there's a place for it right here in the case. Well, I hope I've made my case that if you own a Pocket 3, you need at least one neutral density filter. And I hope you've got something out of seeing these Freewell filters in action. And if you want to buy one of these filters, well, you could use my affiliate link and I would get a little kickback and you wouldn't have to pay any more money. That would be awesome. But regardless, please get a neutral density filter for your Pocket 3. Oh, but that's not all you're going to need to get the most out of your Pocket 3, because amazingly, right out of the box, there are a number of settings that you're going to have to change to get the most out of it. If you want to see that, well, you can just watch that video right over there, and I'll tell you about it as soon as I make that video, which I haven't done yet. So why don't you subscribe, and then when it comes out, you can get a notification, and then you can watch that. That would be awesome. Hey, thanks for stopping by.